Anyway, Texas does seem to be mooching. Ah, Texas is finally attacking the Prussians at sea. 19 heavies against 12. So Texas is bringing in more ships. They're relying on just sheer weight of numbers, which unfortunately is not a very good strategy in the current naval system, because every ship you lose will reduce the morale of every other ship that you is still in the fleet, which is why we're seeing this result. And that is a very, very handy victory for the Prussians. Thankfully, with the new patch, Navy is being completely overhauled. So that kind of battle will probably be slightly more in favour of just the big numbers. But just having more heavy ships is still going to be a very solid counter against that. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that does happen. If you just have the early victory in terms of not taking morale damage and inflicting morale damage by sinking enemy ships, it can tick up very quickly unless you have naval ideas. Naval ideas is a very good counter to that. So if we go to Britain, which I'm pretty sure has them, it is... Or is it maritime? It's maritime. No, it's not. It's naval. Morale hit when losing a ship, minus 33%. That is actually an absolutely enormous modifier. So you take 33% less morale hit when losing a ship, which means that you're effectively doing 33% more morale damage to your enemy. For every ship that you sink, they're taking more morale hit than you are. And that is really, really potent with the way that things work right now. And they're rejigging it so there's a chance that ships will leave the battle instead of just being sunk, and if they just leave, you don't suffer that morale hit. And there are some ideas and some national ideas which will affect the chance of your ship retreating instead of being sunk. For example, Portugal is going to be a very powerful nation just because their ships are much more likely to withdraw than they are to go down fighting, which means that Portugal is going to take less morale hits and also less damage in actual naval battles, which means that battles of attrition, Portugal is going to be extremely effective in. At least that's the theory. We'll have to see for sure if that's how it works. When will 1.3 come out? Any idea? I can't say too much, but I've heard end of the year. It's not going to be around for a while. Although, and I am mitigating that by the fact that Johan is now back on EU4, so that might have changed. But the last I heard was end of the year. But now that they've gone from monthly dev diaries back to weeklies, it does feel like the timeline's been pushed up. After the summer. Yeah, I would say that's probably reasonable. September, October, maybe. La Resistance is out now. Federations has a date, so EU4 is next. Actually, I suspect that CK3 will be next. I think it'll be Federations and CK3. And I think there'll probably also be an announcement for City Skylines 2 at some point. Because City Skylines hasn't had an update for a DLC for over a year. And up until this point, City Skylines has had 3 DLCs a year. Like, on a schedule. What'll be the next game after CK2? CK3. I thought that's what you meant. I don't know. There are some thoughts that it might be EU5. I have my doubts about that. I suspect it's going to be another IP. Or do I? The fact that Imperator just come out. I think that there are still 2 secret projects going on at Paradox. From what I have inferred talking to other people, I think there's still 2 secret projects. And don't forget Vampire Masquerade is another big release coming up as well. Bloodlines 2. I suspect it's... Yeah, probably is EU5, thinking about it. There are definitely... There's at least 1, and I think 2 secret projects. because Wiz is on one of them. In fact, Wiz is the only game director for sure I know is working on one. Surviving the Aftermath. Yeah, it's not a secret one though. That one's been announced. City Skylines is done. They have a new Fallout like sim settlement builder. Yeah, but City Skylines is not the same development team. Surviving the Aftermath is effectively Surviving Mars sequel. Although it's actually done by a different development studio. Same IP though. Oh, Mamelukes. Oh no, that's the Ottomans fighting rebels. Yeah, unfortunately this is just the occupation at this point. The Mamelukes are pulled right back to this line. Andalusia's up to the front line of forts. They're taking the forts just clinically, and then they have like a mop-up crew behind here. And the Prussians have pushed forwards. But here comes Texas. Texas took an opportunity and then pulling back as soon as the Prussians came and turned around. So Prussia still has the naval superiority. I don't think they lost any, if many, ships. Is Texas building more heavies? No. What happened in that one battle? Texas lost 58 ships to Prussia's 4. Yeah. I wish we could see what the composition was. I want to know how many of that 222 were heavies. Because I have a feeling it was less than Prussia's 19. Shame it's them doing vampires. It was such a good game. Can't see the present outfit making it. I should suspect it'll be way too modern. How do you mean way too modern? Vampire Masquerade's always been modern. Maybe they'll announce this Cold War game that they tried a few years ago but never published. I doubt it. I don't think the Paradox likes Cold War era very much. Maybe First World War? With the success of Hearts of Iron, I wouldn't actually be that surprised if they do a First World War. Or maybe Napoleonic. You know what? I would not be surprised if they do a Napoleonic game. A sequel to March of the Eagles. And it probably would blend in some Victoria mechanics. Has Russia finally declared war on the Commonwealth? They have! So the Commonwealth is now at war with revolutionary Russia, Prussia and Austria. And poor old Sweden. Sweden's sticking by everyone. Sweden's stuck by everyone. I'm actually a little bit surprised that they're not piecing out against anyone yet. Nope. High enthusiasm, high enthusiasm, high enthusiasm. Go Sweden! And yeah, a fantasy grand strategy would also be good. Unfortunately, I had that pretty solidly denied. Whether that actually means it's denied or not, I don't know, but I have very serious doubts that they're doing that. Austria pieced out. Yes, so let's take a look at what the Commonwealth have lost so far. Big chunk of all of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 provinces. And Prussia has actually lost territory as opposed to gained any. Which is kind of hilarious. Meanwhile, Russia is on the way in. I think Prussia is probably just distracted with the fighting over on this side. Prussia is counterattacking into Inca, but Texas is coming in after Prussia. Wonder how they would do France if they did a Napoleon game. Probably somewhat similar to how Rome is handled in Imperial Rome. Just make them really powerful. Give them some bonuses. Give them an early head start. Because these games tend to snowball, so if you get strong early, you tend to stay strong. So as long as France comes out the gates punching, then they stay strong. Kind of the same as Germany in Hearts of Iron. In fact, I think one of the more impressive things in Hearts of Iron is the way that they make it so that Soviet Union can actually fight against the Germans, considering how snowball mechanics usually function. Hard to do a fantasy grand strategy on an original IP, and I don't know what Paradox can get licensed to. Don't Paradox own the license to Game of Thrones? I think they do. So they might well be doing CK3 then with the same CK3 engine doing a Game of Thrones game. Now I somewhat suspect that they wanted to announce it, and then the last season of Game of Thrones was so bad that they've delayed it. So the Russians are fighting against the Commonwealth here. Russia with their 10.8 morale against Commonwealth 7. And the Commonwealth are just getting pretty brutalized. They do have a really good quality. Yeah, they just can't stand up against the numbers and the morale of Russia. So many automatic loans. Oh dear. Oh, Andalusia's pieced out and they took a huge chunk of the coastline. Probably in an attempt to block off others. Possibly also an attempt to control the trade here in Aden. Now that the Pope seems to be getting more of a hold over Alexandria, the real controller for what goes into Europe and what stays in Africa is going to be Aden. And Andalusia is using Aden to push money south. Where are they putting the money? They're collecting here, I think. Nope. Pushed on. Collecting in Sevilla. Yeah, looks that way. And Safi. They're collecting in both. Huzzah! Why not just get the money that's in Safi and then push it into Sevilla? Well, I guess they're collecting more. Depends how much of a contest they could provide here. I mean, Sevilla is so divided that I don't think anyone's really going to be able to counter them. And Andalusia could very easily get real control. Yeah, I don't know why Andalusia is not pushing from Safi into Sevilla. I suspect that they could get that. And it'd be kind of an Andalusia's interest then to kick Tunisia out of Iberia. It'd be very difficult to push the Pope out, but Tunis they could. I don't think they really have much to gain from the alliance anymore. Oh, Timurids are at war again. Timurids are also going after the Ottomans. Yeah. Poor old Mamelukes. Mamelukes just lost a chunk of Arabia to the Ottomans. And now they're going to be losing a chunk to the Papal States. Well played to the Mamelukes, though. This is definitely how I like to see players go down. Fighting to the last. Staying with the sinking ship. So well played, Empty Road. I approve of that kind of sportsmanship. When the new patch comes out, what nation will I play first? Who knows? I need to see the patch first. Russia is now the only one beating up the Commonwealth, so Prussia not? Oh, another war just started. The Great Britain has just declared war on Hindustan. No, this is Hindustan declaring war on Britain. Take the capital, Martyred for Bellaton. Martyred for Bellaton is also known as London. So oh my gosh, Hindustan has actually done a surprise attack. Hindustan is screwing the British here. Britain's been caught completely off guard. Britain has a huge navy sitting here. They have their heavies here in the south coast, but nobody in the north. That's 100,000 men jumping off there. There's 40,000 men jumping off there and 123,000 jumping off of there. How long is it going to take them to land? 12th of February. It's possible. Yeah, I think it's possible that they could get through. Oh, you're wasting time fighting them. You should have just gone North Sea. 10,000 men have landed. Okay, so they've caught one of the invasion. Oh no, that's 100,000 men. No, they both got off. They didn't get there in time. So Hindustan is about to lose their navy, but Britain's about to lose their country. So that's one victory there. 80,000 against 132,000. I think that this fight is probably a mistake. They need to be using their forts. Ulster should buy them a little bit of time. It is a level 8 fort. Alright, so Britain has managed to re-secure their coast, but they have to deal with 200,000 Hindustan in the country. Val going back to the motherland. Val getting some revenge for how Britain lost previously. Like, Val has the experience here. Because remember, it was the coalition of Spain, France, and Portugal who worked really well together to take Britain down a really big peg. And using those same strategies, Hindustan is now doing that to Britain. France is back. The Netherlands has formed France. Okay. So we're going to have a super tradey France. Not sure that that's a good idea. I mean, you get Elan, sure. But at this stage of the game, I would say that the Dutch bonuses are probably better. Especially considering the ideas they have. Oh, France is also jumping in against the British. So this definitely feels like a pre-arranged conflict. It looks like Britain lost their troops that were fighting against Hindustan in the north. I mean, Hindustan's troops are just stormtroopers. They are the Prussia of India. Milan is getting called to arms. Milan's now at war with Hindustan as well. Milan might have some of the quality required. I'm not actually sure. We haven't looked at Milan in a long time. What have they got? They've got defensive ideas, they have quality, quantity, and plutocratic. So Milan's morale is going to be great. They're also going to have really good infantry combat ability, plus 40, which is only 10 less than what Prussia has managed, actually. The rest of their army is okay. They have 100% professionalism, 116% discipline. Britain does still control the coast. They would be able to bring more troops in. The peace between Britain and France immediately peaced out. Britain now fighting 100,000 versus 93,000. 139 discipline against 115. 8.1 versus 7.1 morale. Britain is being defeated here. Thankfully, Britain did have some forts scattered throughout the country, so it is going to take Hindustan a little bit of time to push south. And if if Britain can keep Hindustan boxed up in Ireland and then basically deal with these two armies separately, that's going to be a really big boon for them. But this is going to be expensive. They need to bring Milan into play very, very quickly. Britain basically needs to just move their entire transport fleet down here and to say, Milan, get on, we're going. But it doesn't look like Milan's doing very much. I mean, Milan could be marching en masse over to this side of the coast so that Britain can just ship them in. But it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that. Meanwhile, the war against Prussia is still ongoing. This is just back and forth, back and forth. Texas has taken 2 of the Prussian forts now, but Prussia has taken 2 of the Incan forts. So slowly but surely I would say that this is becoming a Texan victory. Inca is retaking one of their forts. They do still have the Prussians boxed up. The Prussians are still actually in a little bit of danger here where they could just get caught out and destroyed. Because I doubt that their transport capacity is going to be enough to evacuate sufficiently quickly enough. I know, is Austria defending the Empire? Silly question. Now this is definitely an outside of Empire war. Austria would have been called. Britain is actually almost tapped for manpower. Hindustan does not have any problems with that. So this basically needs to be a total victory. Britain needs to be able to defeat the entire Hindustan army in one major battle. And going at them when you have less troops is not going to be the way to do it. So how many troops can Britain actually rally? I mean, they're actually about 100 over their force limit at the moment. They have the money to afford this, but they can't keep doing this. Okay, they're not. Yeah, you don't want to split it. What are you doing, Britain? I think Britain's just panicked and it's just lose. Yeah, stack wipe. 70,000 men dead. They should not have separated there. And once Ayrshire fell, you've got to fall back behind your next fort. Like just sitting here in front of them, just going, "Hey guys, we're ready to die now." And that's another stack wipe. Britain's dead. Milan still hasn't moved. In fact, Milan's not even in the war. They've already peaced out. Hung out to dry. Meanwhile, the Mamelukes are still technically alive, but they are so surrounded. They have no coastline. They have no way of... Oh no, they have a coast. One province. The Papal States did indeed take most of Egypt, although both Rosetta and Alexandria went to Tunis. Ooh, I wonder if this was intended. Papal States can't be happy about this. Alexandria is vital for getting trade into Genoa. And I'm guessing Tunis is collecting here. Nope, Tunis doesn't even have a merchant. Why would Tunis want those two provinces? Except to block the Papal States. They wouldn't. Oh, this has got to be like creating tension between these two. Trading Pope. I'm guessing that the Papal States are going to change their alliance to Andalusia, and we're going to see Andalusia and the Papal States going off to Tunis next session. That's my guess. Tunis has been planning the entire game to form into the Mamelukes, from what I've heard. Interesting. To do that, though, they need to kill the Mamelukes. That's a lot of privateers. Have the French decided... Well, the French are pissed with Britain because Britain broke their trade deal with the Dutch. So it looks like... Oh no, there's no actual privateers here. Never mind. That's North Sea. English Channel is 68% French now. 856 ducats from that. Ouch. 600 ducats a month profit. Inca's still on the war on Britain's side. Inca's definitely in the running for the best ally. Yeah, especially as Inca's busy with Prussia at the moment. I mean, Inca is difficult to invade just because they're so isolated, and even if you do get in... Here, have some mountains. Oh, and more mountains. Did you enjoy those previous mountains? Yeah, we got some more of those too. Like, the fact that Inca has survived to this stage of the game means that they're probably going to stick around to the end. Just because they're too much of a pain to conquer. Kind of similar to Timurids. I can't really see other people going after the Timurids now. Except for the fact that their trade node is so valuable. Persia is so wealthy because that 136 ducats that they collect, that might be a target. And because they have so much silk and other really valuable trade goods here. So yeah, Timurids probably are more valuable to go after than Inca. And would be easier to access by people like Hindustan. What's the total income of France at the moment? Let's actually take a look at that. That's a good question. So the total income right now of France is 1,155 ducats. Hindustan's at 1,100 ducats. Andalusia's at 905. Iran's at 895. Iran's actually fourth wealthiest. Russia's at 888, and then there's a bit of a drop to 683 for the Papal States. 619 for Britain, 495 for the Timurids, Milan at 480, Tunis at 445, Texas at 421, Prussia at 386, Ottomans at 356. The Ottomans still pretty wealthy, and then Shan at 252. Another big drop. There's a big drop between these two as well, 200. So, what is this over? I suspect Now, this is actually over Britain's holdings out here. Did Britain have a bit of Japan? No, Iran's actually been slowly but surely eating up Japan. I think we missed a war where they took the north. Japan is now just isolated to the central area. Maguindanao hasn't been consolidated as quickly as I thought they might have been. That's all Japanese. Britain has a little bit of land out here. Maybe money? No, Hindustan is 63,000. I think this is just Val saying, I can do this. Looks like Brazil got back the strip of land they took last time. So Inca maybe had to sell the land to stop another three-front war. Yeah, possibly. Like, it's in Inca's interest to keep a good relation up with Brazil. I'm curious, did they, like, give some land in return? Inca have claims on that. No, it doesn't look like it. Meanwhile, what's going on here? Oh, we have a fight. 107,000 against 138,000. This seems to be a big Texas defeat right now. So the Prussians really bringing in their full force. They have 30,000 artillery. They're still missing 10,000. So their backline definitely a bit weaker there than it could be. So Prussia's army is underperforming at the moment, even with this many troops. However, they did defeat Texas, and Texas has been pushed back in a 186,000 versus 169,000 4-war score battle. So even though Texas has been pushing in, Prussia is now about to push out again. However, while Prussia is busy on this side, Inca's attacking on this side. This is like the First World War in miniature. So the next time a history professor wants to explain exactly what happened to Germany during the First and the Second World War, they can do this just from this one screen. You've got the giant state of Texas on one side, you've got the giant state of the Inca on the other side, and then tiny little Prussia in the middle just being squished. So Prussia will beat off one army, then they'll have to turn around, have to beat off the other army, then they come back in, they take it, they have to beat the other army, then they come back in, take it. Yeah, it's just, this really is just Germany in miniature right now. Meanwhile, in Britain, Britain's actually managed to raise 100,000 men. I thought I saw. No, 50,000. But Andalusia has... Sorry, not Andalusia. Hindustan has actually managed to make it across the straits from Ireland into Scotland. So they are now dealing with 150,000 Hindustan rampaging through the country. Milan has gone back to just drilling. They are making absolutely no pretense of fighting here. That's another stack wipe against the British. The Brits are trying. They are definitely trying. But the Brits have lost 225,000... Oh no, that's how many they have. The Brits have lost 454,000 in battle. Actually, Hindustan's lost 456,000 in battle. Like, Britain's done damage to them. And also the attrition. But Britain keeps on getting stack wipes, and they cannot afford this. Like, they needed to have retreated behind the fort in Wales. And there it is. Unconditional surrender. Which is going to allow Hindustan to go after America. I'm not sure I would have unconditionaled there. Make them fight for the Americas. Although that would just be a matter of time. And there we go. We have a new European player. Hindustan has arrived in southeast England.